Welcome to Running for Real, a global community with a shared love and curiosity for running. Together we reconnect with the reasons why we love to run and discover ways it helps us become better people. Whether it's the quiet moments of a morning run while the rest of the world still sleeps, or befriending the strangers next to you at the start line of a race, we are here to connect with others who see running as the common thread that weaves our lives together. Come join me, Tina Muir, as I talk with people from all walks of life, united by a love of running. Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 374 of the Running for Real podcast. I and Zoe are excited to welcome you today to this episode because today I am excited to be sharing another episode that is a audible chapter from Becoming a Sustainable Runner. We wanted to give you one chapter from each of the three sections to give you a real understanding of what the book is about. You also get to hear me reading it, which will be the audible version or the other audio versions that you might listen to depending on what you use. But the three parts are sustain your runner's mind and body, which you heard last week through chapter 2. Many of you enjoyed that chapter. That has been one of the favorite chapters so far, which I loved. Today, we are going to take a chapter from Sustain Your Running Community, and we are going to be sharing Find Your Place, the chapter Find Your Place, which is talking about using running to connect with others and using group experiences to deepen your running passion and just enjoyment and finding where you belong. Just an important piece there. Next week, we will be sharing a chapter from Sustain Your Planet. So I am excited to share this with you. I have loved hearing the feedback from last week of listening to this. If you have already purchased the book and could go leave a review on Amazon, especially if you purchased it from there, that would make a huge difference to Zoe and I. Getting these reviews up is one way that Amazon is going to push the book, and other places will push the book too. So I really appreciate your support if you've already done that. And I want to tell you just quickly about one of our sponsors before we get to this episode, and that is AG1. I don't know what I would do without AG1 in my life. I wake up in the morning, it is the first thing I do, pour some water in my AG1 flask and fill it with one scoop and shake it up. I actually put my hand as the lid so I don't have to wash the lid every day, and the palm of my hand. And then I drink it up. It is my ritual. It is the one thing I can do. It doesn't matter how crazy and busy my life gets. AG1 allows me to get in those 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients. It's the one thing to combine all the things, especially because when you use the code from me, you get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2, which is the one thing that is not included in AG1, but you get that with it for free, regardless of whether you're in the US, in Canada, the UK, or Europe. You, my friends, all get the same offer. AG1 has become such a ritual of mine. I know that no matter how hectic things are, I can get in that insurance policy beginning my day with that nutrition, that overall foundational wellness that I am building. I have absolutely loved using it over the years. I notice when I miss it for a few days. It is ideal for travel. And as a friend of mine, as I mentioned, you get that 1-year free supply of vitamin D3, which is critical as we are going into the winter months. And also with that, you're going to get 5 free travel packs, so you can take those with you. So thank you so much for AG1 for sponsoring this episode. Let's get on with Chapter 8. Part 2. Sustain Your Running Community. Chapter 8. Find Your Place. We do early morning workouts in total darkness, squeeze in an hour lunch run between meetings, zip through the streets in the evening, untangling the day's stress from our bodies and minds. It can feel like we're alone out there. Even if there are other runners around, our paths cross for only a few seconds before we are back in our own world. We have an agenda, a plan for what we want to get done that day. Running can feel individual, or yes, even lonely. Running becomes a reliable friend who encourages us to keep our bodies and minds healthy. But even during our busiest phases, we can still be part of the running community. If we cannot make group runs work for our schedule, and the mental energy required to coordinate meeting a friend is more than we can spare, we are still not alone. Community can always be part of our lives, providing small hits of connection in the daily hustle of life. Enrich your running through connection. When our training is isolated, like it was for most of us in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic, it is difficult to stay engaged. We often forget every runner is out there with us. While we may not be together physically, we can be emotionally and mentally. We all struggle to push against the discomfort of running hard, no matter how experienced or fit we are. And if we look around, thousands of other runners are fighting their way through too. We are out there reaching for the same finish line, but on our own journey to accomplishment and fulfillment. Thinking about other runners can give us comfort and strength. It's one of the reasons we feel empowered and strong at the finish line. The energy and collective effort fires us up for the rest of the day. In 2020, there were no races to shift our perspective, and that shook many of us. We can get so wrapped up in our own lives that we forget there is a world beyond our own dreams and goals. A world that is welcoming, rewarding, and satisfying, and gives us an opportunity to enhance our running experience with just a little extra investment. It is effort that comes back to us tenfold. If 2020 taught us anything, it is that we need other humans. We need connection and to communicate with those who understand our experience. Service to others is one of the quickest ways to discover our purpose and meaning in life, which we will talk about in more detail in Chapter 9. Building relationships with other runners can help us realize how fortunate we are to be part of this community. Giving back to the running community is motivating and gets us out of our own heads. This is especially true when we are not hitting our goals. If we are feeling demoralized that running has broken our heart again, but we can't figure out why it's not coming together, it is time for a change. Achieving goals and setting new personal bests feels good, but sometimes that love fades and connection is what we crave. That said, getting involved in the community doesn't have to mess up our training or goals. It can enrich our entire running experience by giving us purpose and meaning. When we hear about the adventures and stories of others, it increases our own running passion and exposes us to new ways of looking at the sport we thought we knew everything about. There are a few ways to get involved depending on available time, stage of life, and location. Tina's thoughts. Running as a professional sounds like a dream. And in many ways it was. I loved all the extra perks I was fortunate enough to be given. I loved the special treatment and the opportunity to maximize my potential on every occasion. For many years, I thrived, cutting my marathon time by 4 minutes, which is a lot in the elite world, for 4 consecutive races. In 2016, 14 years after initially setting my lifetime running goal of being in a world championship, I was finally close. It motivated me to push just a little harder. Once I achieved that goal, my motivation began to tumble. I was envious of other runners who ran faster times. I started to look over my shoulder in races to make sure no one was catching me, and I couldn't bring myself to support my closest running friends in their endeavors. Every race became about how good it was going to feel at the finish line. I pushed harder because surely that was the answer. My running joy became inexorably tied to my result at the finish line. I just had to get through the training to get to that point. When I began to dream in January of the finish line for a July race, I knew something was wrong. I trudged my way through my runs, despised my training, and started to hear a little voice saying, "I'm done." I did end up quitting the sport, not sure I would ever train for a race or even run again. Maybe it was time to close that chapter and find a new sport. All I knew was that quitting took a lot more courage than continuing. I was going against everything I knew. Tough people don't quit. Except on this occasion, I learned they do, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Coincidentally, around that time, I was starting my business, Running for Real, and while I feared no one would ever want to hear from me, a quitter, I took a deep breath and went for it anyway. I launched the brand and my own podcast a month after I stopped running. It turned out that giving back to the running community gave me new energy, new life. I loved seeing other runners reach their goal. I loved having conversations with runners on my podcast, talking about their running and how it connected to every other area of their life. I loved the idea of running with others without being concerned about them slowing me down. I understood the power of giving back. It felt better than receiving accolades because it was rewarding and fulfilling every single day, rather than only on the days that everything lined up. It was daily gratitude rather than being appreciative a few days a year. I did begin to run again, and with others as often as I could, which was wonderful. Now my running is about much more than finish lines. In fact, the races I enjoy the most are those in service of others. I find ways to give back to and connect with the community every day, and it leaves me inspired, appreciative, and loved for who I am, not what I do. Run with others. For someone whose experiences of running are a miserable high school PE class or running through the airport with bags awkwardly bouncing from side to side as they try to catch a flight, the idea that running can be enjoyable seems laughable. The idea of running with others, absolutely mind-boggling. You can run with others? And you can talk while you run? And like it? How is that even possible? New runners often wonder this. As their lungs burn and their legs shake from effort, it's disheartening to see a group of runners gliding by, laughing and chatting as if they could run forever. Those real runners make the sport look easy, when it's definitely not. It is hard for new runners to even imagine being at a point where they could do that. Except it could be. It should be. Hear us out as we explain why. Running with others brings a shared accountability and honesty that cannot be put into words or quantitatively studied. It allows us to speak openly and freely in a way we are generally unable to do. As we travel side by side, the intimidation of eye contact removed, we can let our guard down and be vulnerable, building a deep connection. It can help relieve anxiety or energize us for the day ahead. It is astounding how quickly an intimidating run passes by when we complete it with someone else. Experiencing the joy of running with someone can start off as a happy accident. An out-of-town friend and lifelong runner cajoles us into it, or a spontaneous cousin suggests lacing up together during a visit. The first few minutes of the run feel strange. We can hear one another breathing. We are too close. What pace are we going to run at? Then suddenly it clicks, even if only for a few minutes. We get into a rhythm, our breathing calms, and we become those runners, ones who enjoy running side by side. For some, group running is all they have ever known and was what made running a part of their life. Group running can be a powerful connector. There is something beautiful about running with others, syncing movement with another human being. The effect becomes even more robust with a large group in motion together. It is not only the endorphin rush flooding our body, but the feeling of connection, a shared experience that makes us connect to our animal roots, a pack of runners covering ground as one unit. It is not only about the mental and emotional side either. There are biological reasons that we thrive on running in groups. We came across this concept reading Brad Stulberg's The Practice of Groundedness. Brad discussed Kelly McGonigal's work on the collective joy that our species is hardwired to feel when we move in synchrony with others. We know that running is energizing, but there is also the release of oxytocin, a bonding neurochemical that connects us to our running partners on a euphoric wavelength. There is also the concept of identity fusion, defined as a visceral sense of oneness with a group and its individual members that motivates personally costly pro-group behaviors. People who experience identity fusion within their groups felt strong self-agency, meaning they took action towards what they wanted in life. Runners who experience identity fusion form a family-like bond with group members and feel strength as a unit. For those who have been committed to a solo path, following their own running dreams for many years, it can be hard to surrender some of the control to a group. When we are used to deciding every aspect of our training by ourselves, allowing a group to dictate pace, route, and to a certain extent duration can be a big step. In these moments, it is fear of the unknown trying to protect us, but we can be safe trying new experiences as a runner. Just because we are used to running hard when we want and easy when we don't, doesn't mean we won't benefit from another's company or pacing. Letting go is something that many runners struggle with, including both of us. But the more we settle into the group and go with it, the more we can enjoy the process. This does not mean we do every run with a group or running friend, or even most runs, but finding time for it regularly can be beneficial. As first discussed in Chapter 6, if group running is not possible in your area, try a together run. After a few meditative activities to bring runners' bodies and minds into the present moment, Tina begins a conversation that is as close as you can get to running alongside a friend without actually being next to them in person. together runs were immediately a big hit when introduced in 2020 and a great way for the community to experience the joy of running with someone else at a time when it was not physically possible. We have all seen or experienced the joy of celebrating others' successes as part of a team. There is a special friendship created by caring for others with similar or even identical goals. It takes a level of trust and maturity to want what is best for the group as well as for the individuals in it, a maturity we may need to work toward before we can truly actualize the feelings. Running regularly as part of a group is one way to work on that personal growth. The bonds made during runs will be strong. It is only through this process that we begin to understand that someone else's success does not diminish our own accomplishments, even if they are better than us. We can celebrate those moments together and strengthen our sport and other people. As long as we did our best, that is all we can ask for. Joshua and Aaron Potts, founders of the Running Report YouTube channel and hosts of the Two Black Runners podcast, believe in the power of group running to enrich our own running journeys. Aaron reminds us, quote, "The bond formed when you grind through miles together is like nothing else. You'll create lifelong relationships with people you never thought you would have, and you'll push each other through your hardest day. As the saying goes, iron sharpens iron," end quote. And Joshua recognizes the impact community has had on his running journey. He says, quote, "Some of my best memories have been made in the sport from club, elementary, middle school, high school, college, and outside of competitive running. Also, those are some of my favorite memories with my best and closest friends. There is nothing like a bond created through hard workouts, disappointing races, and the joy that comes with conquering a running goal you never thought you could achieve," end quote. While our sport may have only changed the lives of a small percentage of the global population, the potential impact can be especially powerful. We know the rush we get from converting a lukewarm runner into a lifelong committed one, but always wonder how much better the world would be if everyone had a running practice, or at least a getting outside into nature to move practice in their daily routine. While we wish running had the opportunity to change more lives for the better, we understand that it is something others have to want to try. It cannot be forced. While the COVID-19 pandemic brought a lot of suffering, it offered more people the opportunity to experience the true magic running brings. Runkeeper reported a 252% increase in its app registrations and a 44% increase in monthly active users in 2020 compared to 2019. It also reported a 62% spike in people around the world heading out for a run. Similarly, Map My Run noted a 65% increase in runs logged in 2020, and Garmin noted 27% more new users in 2020. New runners bring in fresh perspectives, challenge us to find new ways to be inclusive, and help us understand the experiences of others. We want to convert new runners into sustainable lifelong runners. One of the best joys a runner can experience is seeing someone transition from a suffering, default pandemic runner to someone who gets pure joy and life satisfaction from the sport we love. The power of running for social change. Chris Mosier, an athlete and activist, defines community as a group of people connected by a common interest, identity, or location. He adds, quote, "While living in a particular area provides an immediate community, it is not as powerful for me as my communities from my interests, like the running community and my identity, like the LGBTQ plus community. Community affiliation should, in its best iterations, uplift, support, embrace, and advocate for its members. It's a place where we have a common ground or foundational starting point of likeness that can help us bridge our differences," end quote. The running community has the potential to bring each of us something special. You likely would not be listening to this book without believing in the power of community and shared passions, both within our sport and outside of it, that brings us together. The running community has come together to evolve into a more inclusive and diverse place to be, literally and metaphorically, supporting those who have traditionally felt unseen, unheard, and unwelcome. While we awkwardly work our way through some long overdue cultural changes in our own weird and wonderful way, runners are making a difference. Running is one way we can make changes in the community at large. It can be a vehicle for social change. It helps us to be more optimistic, empathic, adaptable humans who are capable of understanding how minds can change and grow, just as our muscles adapt to the small micro tears that occur each time we head out for a run. Our bodies get stronger as the training compounds year after year, and so does our compassion and understanding through hearing other runners' perspectives. Thank you to Allbirds for sponsoring this episode of the Running for Real podcast and for supporting me in my journey. Today, I want to talk to you about the Women's Tree Dasher 2. Now, I will be wearing these as I start going through these major marathons where I work long days. When I was at the Chicago Marathon last year, I worked a 13-hour day, multiple days in a row, and I wore my Women's Tree Dasher 2 every day. They were incredibly comfortable. Even when I walked back into my hotel room late at night, I did not have any aches and pains. I love the amount of colors that they come in. My favorite is definitely the Calm Cargo, which is kind of like a greeny colored. As you know, I do love green as it is a naturey color. They are very comfortable. They have great stability. And of course, as is Allbirds, they are passionate environmentally. They are doing the work. They are a B Corp and a highly rated B Corp at that. So that means they are doing what they need to do to be an environmentally sustainable company and relentlessly sticking to that. And so I encourage you to go check out the Tree Dashers if you have something for work, a work job that allows you to wear a pair of trainers, or just for traveling, for when you're on your feet for a lot of time, or just day to day. You will often see me wearing these shoes. They are my go-to. And if you go to allbirds.com, you can go check them out. And also, if you use the link in the show notes, you can get yourself a free pair of socks with your order when you add those to your cart using that link in the show notes. Go check it out at allbirds.com. Improve individually through group experiences. With that, we have to stop apologizing for our own running story or ability. We have all done it. Running with someone who is faster than us, or when we are feeling tired from a challenging workout the day before, our inner critic begins to pipe up. We fear we are holding people back, so we apologize for being slow. Even the best runners have off days, or days when it's beneficial to slow down. We owe our bodies the respect of listening and taking it as easy as needed, even if that means our usual running buddies go ahead and leave us to run at a slower pace, one that keeps us running healthy and strong. In these situations, when we know we will feel tired or understand we are slower than our running partner, it is good practice to set boundaries. Get in the habit of having a conversation about expectations before a group run begins. We can tell our training partners that we expect to go about this effort level for this many miles. Getting expectations out in the open, making sure everyone is on the same page, will make a group feel more comfortable. We are collaborating on a run together, so having a conversation about what we all want out of it is only going to make it better. It also means confronting vulnerabilities we might have about our athletic ability instead of allowing them to fester deep down inside. It's always better to get it out in the open and talk frankly, rather than push it down and explode at a friend when we can't hold it in anymore. In the situation where we are the faster runner, validate our friends' feelings and remind them that we chose to run with them. Make it clear we have committed to running with them regardless of pace, and encourage them to say something if the run feels too fast. We can get into trouble in group runs if we don't bring up the objectives for the day. When no one discusses pace or effort level pre-run through competitiveness, the emotional nature of the conversation, or just excitement, the pace can wind its way up. Before long, everyone is hammering, and each person in the group feels as though they are the only one struggling, wishing someone would say something. We end up running in silence. No one enjoys the run because we are frustrated by the situation. Be that brave person. Say something. Chances are most, if not all, of the runners in the group will thank you. It may also inspire them to speak up next time. They will be able to see that saying something does not hold back the group or sabotage the run, but helps everyone, especially on easy days that are critical for staying healthy. The tension in the group will disperse, and a laugh may even arise out of the awkward situation. If you find yourself feeling really good in a group run and want to go ahead, share your thoughts with the group and invite others to join you if they like. That way, they have the choice rather than being unwillingly thrown into a faster run than they intended. Some of the group will likely hang back and run at a pace that feels comfortable to them. Again, dialogue is key. It is important to ask ourselves what we want to get out of our runs and workouts in that moment and be strategic about running with others. One study found that women who exercise alone reported feeling calmer and more relaxed in comparison to individuals who exercise with a partner. If we are looking for some quiet time on a busy day, or an easy run to recover from a tough workout the day before, it might be better to skip the running partners and head out for a solo run. Alternatively, if we want to rev up some motivation or have had a tough day and need to talk to someone who knows the situation, running with others could be just what we need. Another study noted that if we want an intense, hard-hitting workout, pairing up with someone who is fitter or faster can level up our workout. It all comes down to listening to that intuitive feeling of what is best for our body at that moment. We view those who run faster than us through rose-colored glasses, but every one of us has insecurities we face, struggles to work through, and unplanned days we need to take it easy. It is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be celebrated. We are all humans with limits. If someone chooses to run with us, it's exactly that. They chose to run with us. Women are especially guilty of putting ourselves down. We simply don't need to do it. Society does it for us each and every day. Those of us who identify as women are socially conditioned to apologize for totally normal things. It's like we try to beat the world to the punch by preemptively degrading ourselves. Doing so is not helping anyone. It is encouraging other women and young girls who look up to us to do the same. It is wasted energy that could be spent performing our best or enjoying the experience. Break that habit and call others out for doing the same. We are all perfectly imperfect just as we are. Apologizing constantly is destroying our self-esteem. When we see ourselves as part of a community with ideas and experiences to contribute, we take back our narrative. Whether we're a newer runner or an experienced runner trying something new, we never know who we will impact. Conversely, we never know whose advice could be beneficial to us. Maybe we have a lot of experience in a particular area, but another runner has a different insight, a different perspective that could add value to our own running. We should always be listening. Tina's thoughts. After many years of connecting with recreational runners at every level, hundreds of runners have come up to me at events over the years. Within the first 30 seconds, they usually put themselves down, comparing themselves to my former elite status. They tell me they run, but they weren't a real runner like I am, or that they are slow or only run a few miles a week. As they share this, they look down at the ground as if they are protecting themselves from my disappointed glare, or that I will be repulsed by how slow they are. It hurts my heart to see runners degrade themselves like that, taking away their hard work and commitment because they believe only through running a 16-minute 5K is someone a real runner. I tell them it doesn't matter. I don't care about their pace, nor should they. A runner is someone who runs, that's all. When I run with others, I remind them pre-run that I do not care what pace we run, so we can run what feels right for them. I will be by their side regardless. They agree, but often start off too fast, not wanting to hold me back, and reach a point mid-run where they tell me I can go ahead if I want. To me, all I feel is empathy and love for them. They are spending precious energy worried about it, meaning they miss the best part of our time together. All I want to do is get to know them as a human being, regardless of speed. But then I think back to a race in 2016 where Molly Huddle was racing. She was almost superhuman for what she was able to do at that time. I felt nervous to even be around her. I ran my cooldown with Molly and a mutual friend. I remember being worried that she would be thinking about how slow I was running, and that she would be feeling irritated with me for holding her back. I apologized, to which, of course, they didn't agree. It was a cooldown after all. I share this to bring home that point about running being relative and that we have to stop apologizing for being who we are and where we are. While my speed at the elite level was mind-boggling for many runners, I viewed myself as slow compared to Olympians. If we continue this cycle to the next generation of runners, we will never be happy within our sport. Find running buddies. Making friends through school and extracurricular activities when we are younger is relatively easy, or at least the discomfort dissipates fast. But unless we live in the town we grew up in, making new friends is more difficult than it would seem. Why didn't anyone tell us it was this awkward to make friends as an adult? Sure, we can do a quick search to find running clubs in our area and check them out on social media to see if we are a fit. The real compatibility assessment begins when we bravely show up, hoping there will be another equally awkward person who made the same choice and we can gravitate together. But doing so requires confidence to even get there, let alone talk to someone when there is little time before and after. Just like anything else in life, the best way to meet people who have similar interests is to go where they are and show up consistently. The group may seem like they are deeply bonded, but within a few visits, if not right away, people will recognize the commitment you are making and welcome you into the fold. Getting to know new people is unfortunately like dating. We might see someone who we think has the potential to be a friend, and we engage in small talk to see if we have common interests. Taking a running friendship to the next step may require gathering courage to ask to meet up outside of the run to determine if there is potential for a long-term friendship. That is when the dating begins. With new friends, as with new potential partners, we have to see if our personalities match, if both people feel excited about the relationship, and if it is worth the effort required for a friendship to grow. Sometimes we might feel that is the case, but they do not, and other times we might be the one pulling back. Don't be afraid to make that first connection. Many times, would-be relationships languish because folks are reluctant to be seen as too forward. Either way, the most important thing to keep in mind is to be ourselves. If we are not compatible, it is better to find out early over excuses that prolong the hurt. As the dating advice goes, mixed signals usually mean no. The same goes for us. If that person doesn't make us feel good about who we are, or make us laugh and appreciate the time together, then maybe we need to reconsider. It takes some thought and some time, but once we figure out who we are aligned with in values and morals, it will be worth the effort. Running with people in your area and finding space within your local community is more intimidating. We cannot hide behind our computer, but there is also the genuineness of having another flawed human in front of us to keep it authentic. When we move online, there is a pressure to get it right, to be the best version of ourselves, or we fear becoming the next victim of cancel culture. That said, online communities are not only a wealth of information, a place where we can learn from the mistakes of others and be inspired to be our best selves, but also a place to connect with people all around the world who share our passions. It can foster lifelong relationships in our local communities and beyond that we otherwise would have never known. Let's explore that more.
Zoe's thoughts. My friendship with Tina started as many relationships do in the 21st century, online. We were mutual admirers of each other's work, occasionally tweeting compliments and liking posts. As a newer podcaster and writer, I admired Tina's entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to sharing stories that touched on topics she was interested in covering. The Venn diagram of mutual interests would have been a perfect circle, but I hesitated in reaching out to Tina, nervous that it might seem weird or awkward to cold email someone who I'd been following as a fan for years. Although I wanted to make a connection, particularly in the male-dominated space of running media that often pits women against each other, I just didn't. It turned out that Tina felt similarly. But after I posted a picture of my compost setup, Tina felt there were enough commonalities to work up the courage required to take things to the next friendship level and take them offline and into the real world. Tina slid into my DMs, and the rest is history. If there's someone whose work you admire or has common interests or is working to solve a shared problem, like climate change, take that first step and reach out. You won't regret it.
Create your own running group. What if you attended group events in the past and either didn't feel welcomed or it didn't feel like the right fit? This can be particularly relevant to those who hold marginalized identities and historically haven't been privileged in spaces like running. Black, Indigenous, people of color, or LGBTQ+ runners might encounter struggles specifically related to the pressures and expectations that white, cisgender, heteronormative society and running culture places on runners of diverse backgrounds. While finding a community or group that immediately makes us feel like we belong is ideal, that doesn't always happen. When we have a negative experience with a group that left us behind on a run in a new city or made us feel isolated as we stood alone, it can be difficult to put ourselves in that vulnerable situation again. Maria Solis Belazer wanted to join a running group but had not come across any for Latinx runners, so she decided to start her own inclusive groups, Latinos Run and Latinas Run. Even when the primary reason is to create a safe space for typically underserved runners within the running community, it doesn't mean fun can't be a priority. As Belazaire explains, quote, "For many of us, running is a social adventure. It's an opportunity to connect with a group of people with shared interests," end quote. Belazaire has advice for runners creating that place for those with shared interests. Quote, "When starting a new club, the best advice I always try to give is to first start with a vision. Write it down and create a framework to what you want. For instance, what type of club are you looking to create? And what is the location, demographics, and practice dates and times? Once you have your vision set, start setting expectations. Whether it's a 5K run, group training for races, or running on a particular surface, let runners know what to expect when they attend your events," end quote. Belazaire cites the importance of consistency, especially when it comes to communication, dialogue, posts, and meetups. If you are determined to create a group that provides all the features and values that you wish had been there for you, go ahead and build that community. However, there are a few things to consider before taking that step. First, take a deep dive into what is already available and attend other groups' runs and events to see if there is an opportunity to make that group even better. Often we try to recreate the wheel when there are ways to work with established groups that are not able to see their own blind spots. How can you fill in the gaps of what the group is missing? If we were left behind on runs in the past, could we volunteer to lead a slower pace group on a run? Or take a vow to always run with the person at the back? Could we strategize with local communities on how to create welcoming group run opportunities for those in Black and brown neighborhoods and make sure voices of color are centered in those conversations? Could we reach out to new runners in the group and be the first person to welcome them? Most running group leaders welcome suggestions to improve attendance and retention. If they do not, others within the group may already be thinking about a change in leadership. Our questions may prompt a movement within the group to push for more inclusivity. If there is not an existing group willing to work alongside you and the energy is there, go for it. Make the club you wish had been there for you. Some remote locations may not have running groups at all, and creating a running group may fall squarely on your shoulders. If so, spend time researching successful running groups in other similar cities or towns to determine what they do that makes people want to come. Park Run and November Project are fantastic examples of successful, free, worldwide community events that were developed with inclusivity in mind. Park Run organizes free, weekly community events all over the world. November Project is a free fitness collaboration in multiple cities around the world that uses physical activity to motivate and encourage people of all ages, shapes, sizes, and fitness levels to get out of their beds and get moving. Both are made possible by the generous support of their volunteers and partners, and it has taken years to build them to their current level. If we are willing to put in work, embrace the setbacks, and invest the money required to create a community event that we feel is missing, there are resources that can be cultivated for support. When setting up a group, it is critical to have a healthy sense of perspective and realistic expectations about how fast it will grow. While we will want to have a grand vision of our future running group flourishing with new and experienced runners, growing every week from dozens to hundreds, the reality is that most groups take time to pick up steam. It may mean 6 months or more of a few loyal friends turning up because they don't want you to be alone. It may mean hours invested and sometimes feeling like it will never go anywhere. It may even mean that you never get to see the full effect and growth of what you have created. As quoted in Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, Monk Garanga Das told his students, "We should plant trees under whose shade we don't plan to sit." Starting a running group means taking an oath or writing ourselves a contract to commit for a year before reevaluating, even if it is just one friend who shows up week after week out of pure love for us. While we may think our idea is just what the running community needs, as we know, life can be busy, and often people who promise they will turn up don't. Keep showing up. The lessons learned each week will help you grow as a human and a leader, lessons that can be applied to everything else in life. Maria Solis Belazaire has been extremely successful in building her groups and credits part of that success to utilizing social media and finding strong leaders. She says, quote, "As we live in the digital age, connecting through social platforms often gives you a larger audience to connect with. Build an online audience and presence. Most runners today use social media to find out about events. End quote. Belazaire recognizes that an indicator of group success is to, quote, create a team of great leaders. Having great leaders can help your reach and can increase the quality of the service you provide. End quote. Finally, be prepared to shift the group slightly if some time has passed and it does not fit the community. As Belazaire noted, keep the vision but adjust as needed. Friends, I am so excited. We are continuing our relationship with 2Before, which is a blackcurrant pre-workout drink. What are blackcurrants? They are a berry. They are delicious, kind of slightly sweet, slightly tangy. They have been scientifically proven to increase cardiovascular endurance, speed up muscle recovery, reduce inflammation, and support immunity. While I've been working through my injury, I've been using my 2Before to give my body an extra boost in that recovery period, while also using 2Before in my workouts that I am doing, in the runs that I am able to do, because things are kind of crazy right now. So studies have found that New Zealand blackcurrants can improve athletic performance by 4.6%. So if you have a goal race that you are looking to really do something at in the next few months, this is the product that's going to help you get over that line, to give you that performance boost. You can take it before you start. You can take it during the run. That is one smart berry that is going to give you the multiple benefits of improving your endurance, speeding up your recovery, supporting your immunity, and it is just a delicious taste as well. Blackcurrants are something that in England we really enjoy and love, and you, as a friend of mine, can go to 2before.com. That's the number 2before.com and use code TINA to get yourself 30% off. That's code TINA at 2before.com. Go check it out. Connecting with runners through social media. A 2016 study examined detailed daily exercise behaviors and social network ties of approximately 1.1 million runners over the course of 5 years and concluded that exercise is socially contagious. This meant, on average, one friend running an additional kilometer influences the other to run an additional 0.3 of a kilometer on that same day. The runners also influence one another to run faster on that same day. While it is not always beneficial to run further or faster, this study shows the power of the running community's influence. In a 2015 study of runners, researchers assessed over 3,400 runners to examine the correlation between their running behaviors and social networking sites, finding two interesting connections. First, the use of running-related social networking generally corresponds with the amount of running involvement. A highly involved runner may use social networking sites to extend their participation beyond running. They may make new friends through the network, taking their love of running beyond the miles logged. Second, social networking use also influenced runners to run more miles per week and made them more satisfied with their social life. Runners who used running-related social networking sites became more engaged in running, which promoted their physical and mental well-being. Social media and training apps can be a negative presence in our lives when we allow them to take over, but seeing others getting out there can help us to feel good or stay motivated in our own training. When we are going through a difficult time, it is easy to feel isolated or alone, and when we are busy, it can be easy to skip a run or cut it short. That small, quick reminder of the connectedness of the running community can be enough to keep us on a path that makes us feel good. Sharing our training through apps like Strava or on social media platforms can provide that connection and allow us to give back to the community with a few taps of our thumb. By giving friends kudos, likes, or comments about their own training, we are supporting them while also being inspired by them, whether we realize it or not. We get to choose who we surround ourselves with in person and through the media we consume. That means we also get to choose whether we are inspired or demoralized. Connecting with motivating runners who support our journey can help us tap into an energy source we didn't know existed. As Strava tests more community features beyond the competitive and training elements, there is a bright future for runners looking to engage with others online through Strava running clubs and beyond. Find online communities. While in-person activities are preferred by many runners, meaningful connections are possible online. When the COVID-19 pandemic reframed the way we approached relationships, we found creative and effective ways to keep in touch without being together in person. While they do not provide the physical connection, online communities can be a wonderful place to connect with others or to work up the courage to speak without the rejection we fear when opening ourselves up to another person. One of the benefits of online communication is that it's not restricted by location, potentially making a truly global community. Through their Running Report YouTube channel and Two Black Runners podcast, Aaron and Joshua Potts have created a community for runners who are fans of track and field, but are also interested in discussing social issues that have been ignored in the past. It can feel as if we are alone in our passions for a particular topic, and not all of us have a sibling to geek out with over our shared interests. But Aaron encourages us to find that space for ourselves, even if it originally feels like we will be a microgroup. He recognizes how a community, even one created online, can become a lifeline and energizer for others with the same passion. He says, quote, "The community means so much to me because the community raised me. I've made some of my closest friends mentors and gained tons of opportunities through the running community. One thing I've learned about the running community is that there is a place for everyone. So whatever you like about running, I promise you there is someone out there just like you." End quote. It does not have to fit the traditional community definition, being a group of people in the same location coming together, because we can find others with shared passions even without a leader's presence. As Aaron explains, quote, "Nowadays, there are so many different ways to be involved in the community, and some don't even require running. Obviously, you can easily join a running club in the area, but you can also just listen to podcasts that interest you or subscribe to a newsletter that speaks to you. There is so much media in the running world that is relatable and inspiring. As you start to follow a podcast, an influencer, or newsletter, you will start to feel a part of the community and you'll be inspired to put on your shoes and go for a run." End quote. As with in-person group running, the first step should be to explore what is already available and ask other runners for recommendations. One of the difficult parts of the modern approach to living is that with so many places to find information, it can be tough to know what we are looking for. But by seeking out experienced people who know the best places to look, we can remove some of the overwhelm. Once again, it is better to contribute and help grow a previously existing community rather than building something new, unless, after deep research, we have found that there is nothing available for the group we envision. In that case, go ahead and make the group you wish could have been there for you. Defining a real runner. As runners, we all have different definitions of what a real runner is. To some people, it means committing to a certain level of competitiveness. For others, it's a speed thing. You are a real runner when you can hit a certain pace. Still others see anyone who puts on a pair of shoes and heads out the door as a runner. For the record, this last definition is what we believe a real runner is. We believe we cross over into the runner category as soon as we lace up our shoes and take our first steps. But it can be hard for many to view themselves as real runners when they compare themselves to others who fly by on the trails. Now they are real runners. I'm just out here jogging. Here's the thing though, we are all runners. Running is relative. A 10-minute per mile pace is fast for some and slow for others. The same can be said about almost every pace, unless you are Eliud Kipchoge, of course. One of the most interesting aspects of our sport is that we can all cover the same course, but we each have our own journey. We can be together, both literally and figuratively, but also on our own adventure. We all start each training block and each season as slightly different people than when we finish a goal race or transition to the next season. We learn a little more about who we are. With each race, we feel more confident identifying ourselves as runners. We all consider skipping a run to stay in a warm bed on a cold winter morning. We all traverse the same paths, some covering those paths in less time than others, but there are runners of every speed out there every day. We are part of a community, a group of people that welcomes new members with open arms. We know that everyone is different and has their own experiences that made them into the person they are today. Yet, we all share one thing in common. We are runners. Myrna Valerio has long advocated for runners of every speed to see themselves as runners. She says, quote, "Slow is relative. Your slow may be someone else's fast and vice versa. You never, ever have to apologize for being slow. Just like they say to hike your own hike, you can run your own run. As long as you are moving your body in a way that eventually feels good to you, move it as slowly or as quickly as you want or as it will go. If your friends, family, or running group has something to say about your pace, find new people to run with. I love that running forces us to see, feel, and use our bodies in challenging ways. I learn a lot from simply moving my body and traversing all different types of terrains on my own 2 feet. It makes me feel uniquely human and very close to the earth." End quote. Every single runner covering a race course has their own unique path to that moment. While it may feel at times that the running community only cares about what the top runners have to share, in actuality, all of us have something special to offer. We all have advice and lessons that could assist another runner, help them through a difficult time, or make them feel more connected to the sport, to themselves, and to our home, Mother Earth. And despite what some running magazines and social media accounts may show, running is not just about races or the finish line. Living for fantastic finishes will leave a runner fed up and unfulfilled. Running is about what we learn about ourselves and who we become along the way, even if we don't know where that is yet. Find where you belong. Verna Volker, founder of Native Women Running, has grown a huge community on Instagram by sharing experiences from runners who previously did not have a place to feel valued. She says, quote, "As someone who never saw herself as a runner, I now know that each of our journeys is unique. I struggled with it for a long time, but as time went on, I ran more races and realized what my body can do. Though I never saw my body as a runner's body, I realized that I could do things that some runners couldn't do. So I learned to adjust my thinking to stop comparing and embrace my own journey." End quote. Volker also learned the value of speaking out regardless of how many people may be listening. By doing so, she has become an important voice in the running community by providing a space for others to speak about what their running journey has meant to them. She says, quote, "It's easy to become silent in our voices. We often think what we say is not powerful, but it truly is. I think each of us carry a call to do good and desire change in the world. Our voice is a simple, powerful tool. Yes, it's scary, but you soon find out that others will come along and encourage you. Many will support and believe what you believe in. Don't be intimidated. You have a powerful voice." End quote. Moshe reinforces this point by reminding us, quote, "None of us are born believing we do not matter. We learn this over time. Systems are in place that treat people differently depending on any number of factors, and those systems are challenging to overcome. But every negative thought that we have about our value, our ability, our story, or anything else was put in our minds by another person. We all bring a unique perspective from our own experiences and interpretations of them to this world, and every story matters. Sharing our stories can be empowering to ourselves and inspiring to others. Visibility and representation matter so much, particularly to members of communities who have been told they don't matter. For anyone who believes their voice or story do not matter, there are people out there whose entire lives could be changed by seeing you and hearing your story. Never underestimate your ability to impact others simply by being yourself." End quote. Then there are those who might not consider themselves real runners or serious runners, but they inspire us with their consistent commitment to their running practice. Maybe running has been a part of their daily routine from a young age, prior to conversations defining a real runner. Or maybe they see real runners as those people who train for the Olympics, but their personal running has always been a part of their physical and mental health. There are many runners who do not need the label of real and do not care what others think about their running journey. For them, running is a way to promote longevity, is the antithesis of their job, and is valued for the simple act of it. We could benefit from learning what these runners have to say. If we want to be a real runner, we are. No minimum mileage, speed, or background required. A simple definition for a simple sport. According to Moshe, quote, "In many ways, we've been trained to value a certain type of athlete or certain achievements. But the truth is, not every runner will qualify for Boston, and even fewer will run the Prefontaine Classic. Not everyone wants to run a marathon or worries about the podium. The beautiful thing about running is that there are infinite ways to run and express yourself through running. We all share the commitment to move our bodies and to challenge ourselves. If you participate in the sport of running, you are a runner and you deserve to claim that title and be celebrated as much as anyone else. End quote. Not only does a broad and varied conversation within a diverse group stimulate more ideas, thoughts, and growth, but it helps to build a bond and helps us all to feel part of something special. These are our people. We understand weird things runners do. Why not make the most of the opportunity to be around these people? Volker reiterates this with what she has learned, quote, "When we see ourselves in community, we become a part of something larger. For example, Native Women Running has become a virtual community where many runners see themselves and a place of belonging. When you find a community, you find support, representation, and a space that is specifically for you. It's a safe place. I believe everyone should find that community to feel support." End quote. Community means coming together because of a shared interest, but then moving beyond that initial mutual connection to form a deeper bond based on trust, on knowing that we can be ourselves, confiding in each other, and not being judged. It's a place where we belong. You belong, and so does every runner who laces up their shoes and heads out the door. The more runners that feel like they have a place they belong, the more our community can continue to grow and support one another. Cultivate community. We got together with activist Chris Mosier to think about ways to cultivate the community atmosphere we crave and how we can learn to value our own strengths. So grab a journal, sit somewhere quiet, and work through these questions. What does the word community mean to you? Who shows up for you when you need support? Who do you show up for? What can you bring to the running community that you wish you had at a previous point in your running journey? And if your journey is just beginning, what do you wish there was? How can you help develop the running community to reflect what matters to you? What topics, identities, or interests do you bond with others about? Would you consider those your communities? How much diversity and diverse representation do you find within your communities? How could you expand the diversity within your communities? What ideas do you have for how to make sure new runners do not feel isolation or abandonment? How can you be part of the change? Community means something different to all of us, but one thing has become clear. We all need some version of it in our lives. We live in an increasingly disconnected world, despite always being connected. Nothing can replace the physical and social connections of in-person interactions. Our busy lives make social interaction an easy sacrifice to make, but that has a harmful effect on our mental health and our purpose. Loneliness engulfs us if we become too detached from people and nature. Running, inherently a solo endeavor, has the potential to elicit meaning and joy through belonging. Finding a community that welcomes us with open arms can be the key to unlocking a sustainable future for our running and beyond. Action steps. Make a pledge not to apologize for being slow. Tell your running friends about the pledge and have them hold you accountable. Join Tina on a together run. Find them on the Running for Real podcast feed. Try to increase the number of group runs you participate in, especially if you have been feeling stuck or lonely. If you are part of a running group in your area, how can you take a more active role in making the changes you would like to see? If you are determined to set up a new group and have researched what is already available, be consistent in your communication, dialogue, posts, and meetups. Commit to an entire year of showing up before reassessing. Get into the habit of setting boundaries in running groups or with running friends. Establish pre-run agreements on the effort or pace. Make sure everyone has shared any considerations they may have for wanting to run slower. Use social media or training apps to connect with other runners and build your support muscles. Consider an online community. What interests or identities do you have that are important to you and could provide community and connection? Answer the questions in the sidebar Cultivate Community. How can you implement the changes you wish to see in the running community? If you keep a training log or diary, look back through the earliest days of your running journey. How have you changed or improved since then? Before we go any further, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Running for Real team. Without them, I would not be able to do barely anything compared to what I'm able to do today. They are behind the scenes. They are there for me. I am just so appreciative of them. To Jeremy Nessel, our podcast editor, audio consultant, and someone who's been with me since the start. To Sally Pontarelli, our content and operations manager, who is there day to day doing all the things to help me be successful. To Kelsey Wang, our head of design, and Louise Murphy, our associate designer. And finally, to Sandy Gutierrez, our photographer and content strategist. I am appreciative of all of you and wouldn't be able to do what I do without you. I hope you enjoyed another episode of a chapter from Becoming a Sustainable Runner. If you have not already purchased it, you can go to becomingasustablerunner.com. We are also offering signed editions now. If you would like to go through my website, Running for Real, to go get that, there will be a link in the show notes, as well as a link to go get yourself the book, to go get any of our sponsors. Those sponsors allow us to keep doing what we are doing, allow me to continue with this podcast and do the other work that I am doing. So when you support them, you support me, and you know by now I really value my integrity. So every brand I work with, I vet and I believe in them. So you can find links to Two Before, where you can get that 30% off, to AG1 to get that 1 year free supply of vitamin D3 plus 5 free travel packs, and Allbirds, you get that free pair of socks with your purchase by going to runningforreal.com/episode 374. I will see you next Friday for another episode that is going to be a chapter read, as well as on Monday for a Together Run and Wednesday for a For Real episode. I'll see you then.